Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And David Zaslav's culling continues.
Yes, so it has begun.
So it has begun. We told you before that David Zaslav is not going to be content to just fire some executives at the top and be like, yep, things are fine. He's actually going from division to division, asking people what they do, like the two Bobs from Office Space. Mm-hmm. And now he's coming for DC Entertainment, and this shouldn't surprise anybody. DC Comics, their editors got moved over to a shared workspace.
He moved their stapler.
And it sounds like he wants to revamp DC from top to bottom. He's got questions about why they've got some of the most popular characters in pop culture and they're wasting them.
Well, that's a good question. One that people like us have been asking for a while.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about this because this kind of dovetails with everything else going on right now. Supposedly there are a bunch of comics getting canceled. We have the former publisher of DC Comics, Dan DiDio, working with Frank Miller, who has created some of DC Comics' most popular series of all time, including The Dark Knight. And they're working together now with Fan Expo, I guess, and Fan Expo is bringing in Gina Carano.
Right, people are having a hissy shit fit about that.
Yeah, and Frank Miller was canceled too for a comic he did like 10 years ago. It's basically what's going on here is the money people are starting to pay attention to the situation in comics. And if they use this this merger, this acquisition to get rid of the dead weight and change it up, and try to make it profitable again, that's what they're gonna do.
Yeah, because the reign of terror, I think, is coming to an end because people were afraid that they crossed certain people. And some of them weren't even comic people. They were just, journalists in comics, that if you cross the Whisper Network and the powers that be, that you suddenly were going to be blacklisted. And that was the case for a short while. But then I think they're starting to realize that, one, these people don't sell books worth shit. They've driven away the fans like crazy. And they're just terrible assholes to work with. So they're just going to, cut them loose and then go back to what works.
So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture, news, views, and rants. Guys, over 263,000 subs. Woo! Thank you for the support. We do talk a lot about the comic book industry, not as much as we did because there wasn't really a lot going on other than bad news, bad sales, and bad behavior. But it does seem like the day of reckoning is coming, and it looks like this guy, the day of reckoning, is wearing shades, and he's coming.
Of course, it's a problematic white man.
Of course it is.
I had to make the joke because someone's going to say it.
But he's asking questions, and we knew this was going to happen because we said before he came in as the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery that this guy is known for cutbacks and focusing his teams. He brings his own people in.
He gets the job done and makes his shareholders money.
That's
what they hired him for. Let's be honest. He's not there to make you happy.
Right.
Unless you own shares.
Unless you own shares, yeah, then you'll be very happy. I guess Warner stock, Discovery stock is actually doing pretty good. I don't have any.
Should have bought some.
Should have bought some. Jeez. Disney's sucking though, man. Disney is.
I know. It's funny though, because we cover this all the time, and then we never think to buy the stock ourselves.
I know, right?
It's like we need to change that.
Like I had Twitter stock, but I kind of cooled off on buying some because I'm like, man, Twitter's a dumpster fire. And they were doing all these videos on Elon Musk. I'm like, it might have been smart to go buy some more Twitter stock.
Or done it before we did videos on it.
Yeah, right? Just go buy a whole bunch and then anyway.
No, we haven't done that, so.
So here we go. This is coming from Variety. Lots of people talking about it. The new owners of all things, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, are exploring an overhaul of DC Entertainment. Multiple sources close to the situation told Variety it's been less than a week since they closed the deal. And David Zaslav, the CEO of the combined companies, have been toying with the idea of turning DC into its own solidified content vertical. So this has to do, I believe, with them moving people out of the offices in Burbank.
Wow, it's almost like people have been saying this.
Yeah, it's so funny. And I will give credit where credit is due. Ethan Van Sciver, who worked at DC for a number of years and probably still has connections at DC, has been saying that, DC was going to be upended and if things were pretty bad and we're getting near the end of the line or of DC as we know it. And they're like, you're just a Nazi. Nothing you say can be true because you're a Nazi.
It's just the the hoops they'll jump through. Because they just want confirmation bias. Like, if you don't give them what they want to hear, it's not the news they want to hear, or it's not confirmation bias. It's clearly a lie, and you're some kind of istophobic whatever. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, because that once upon a time that's what news was. You're telling people the truth.
Yeah.
Now it's just they only want to hear what they want to hear, and if it's not what they want to hear, it's automatically a lie, even if it's the truth.
Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of that, especially when it comes to social media and stuff like that. We're going to talk about that in a video coming later today with Substack. And, anything outside of the mainstream narrative is automatically a lie. And this has been a pretty recent thing. A lot of younger people especially have been brainwashed over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, congratulations, schools. You've made them very easy to control, which was probably the point.
That was absolutely the point. So, free will and free thought, free thinking, no longer valued in America. Compliance and kowtowing to corporations.
Yes.
That's what we want. Anyway, he's basically looking for a Kevin Feige type person to take over DC, because DC is, it's all over the place. Even the movies. We thought we had a Snyderverse, and we thought that's the direction they were going to go. And then they've got these like spin-offs and offshoots and multiple versions of characters existing. Now we got the new Batman, which isn't in the same timeline as the other Batman. They're bringing Michael Keaton back. Basically, everything that's being done now, I think, is going to be a palate cleanse. So if you're worried about Ezra Miller's Flash, I don't think you have to be worried for much longer. I
don't think Zaslav will put up with that shit.
No, I think he's looking at this situation. He's like, okay, Marvel's got their shit together for the most part. We could debate Phase 4.
Right, yeah.
Up until more recently, Marvel has had its shit together, and the curtains match the drapes. Right?
Well, that was a very interesting way to put it.
I think he's looking at DC like, how come we've got like 50 different continuities going on here? The TV shows and the comics and the movies. Even the movies, they sort of kind of take place in different timelines, and who the hell knows what's going on. And they're really hit or miss.
How are you going to put carpet matches the drapes on that one?
I don't know.
Joseph and his amazing Technicolor carpet.
That actually would probably be the Superman comic now. Is that his boyfriend? Is that his boyfriend, Joseph, with the Technicolor carpet? Anyway, so I think he's looking at this like, we've got the most popular superheroes ever created. Like how the hell can Marvel beat us with Guardians of the fucking Galaxy? Seriously, we've got Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman.
Right, some of the most iconic ever.
Yeah, and it's like, we created superheroes. DC created superheroes. What the hell are we doing?
Well, I mean, honestly, until the MCU, for the most part, except for you think of a couple ones like Hulk or Captain America would come to mind. Spider-Man always.
Yeah.
But the ones people knew were Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. Those are the ones most people knew, and most of them were DC. When
I was growing up reading comics, basically all the big superheroes, like you ask somebody, name 5 superheroes, and 4 of them would be DC characters.
Yes.
And then they'd throw Spider-Man in there too.
Right, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah. And then for a while, X-Men. So it was like Spider-Man, the X-Men.
Yeah, X-Men for sure, yeah.
And then, and X-Men's a damaged brand now too, but it was Spider-Man, the X-Men, and then like all the DC characters were like the big ones.
That's the ones everybody knew.
Yeah.
And DC has them, and they have these like money-making machines that they're just completely, misappropriating.
Yeah. So insiders say that Zaslav believes that the success of the merger, one that has left the company highly leveraged, will rest in no small part on unlocking the full potential of DC Comics characters.
So what does that mean? That's what I'm worried about.
Layoffs. No, you know what I think it means? I'll tell you the truth. He's probably looking at the situation. He's like, why are you killing off Henry Cavill and bringing in Supergirl?
Superman was up here in the drapes area, and Supergirl was down here in the carpet area.
Supergirl's eating carpet now?
I'm just saying, when you're like the hierarchy of what characters people know and love.
Yeah.
He's more the drapes and she's more the carpet. And there's more meaning to that than just a little bit. But
so here's the thing. He's got to be looking at the situation with the comic books, right? And he's got to be looking at the comics and like, why the hell did you just replace all these characters? Why the hell is, instead of, selling good stories, why is the biggest story about DC Comics that Robin and Superman are now gay?
Right, and the books aren't selling.
And they're not selling. What the fuck is going on? So I think Jim Lee's probably going to be shit canned. I'm going to be honest. I think he's going to, like, top to bottom, just gut this company. But yeah, it's hit or miss. Insiders believe that DC has achieved cinematic success with recent films such as Aquaman and The Batman. It lacks a coherent creative team and brand strategy.
Yeah.
There is no plan. There is no plan at DC. Discovery believes that several top shelf characters such as Superman have been left to languish. Superman has been left to languish and need to be revitalized. Superman should be the biggest superhero at the box office, but they can't do it. They also believe projects like Joker are a shining example of how second build characters from the DC library can and should be exploited.
And Harley Quinn is another example. And I would agree with Harley Quinn being an example. But what they put out with that fantabulous, emancipation of one Harley Quinn was not a shining example. And then the fact that they named it what they named it, right off the bat, that messed it up. I mean, I don't know who was, they talked about branding. Who would they have in charge of branding on that?
Yeah. I don't know.
Then they had to change the name so people knew what the hell, or it was Birds of Prey.
It was Birds of Prey, and then the same weekend they changed it to Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It was supposed, everybody wanted a Harley Quinn movie. They didn't give a shit about Birds of Prey. So you call it Birds of Prey to try to push other characters to the forefront. And then no one knew they couldn't even say the damn thing. They just Birds of Prey, no, they didn't get it. Harley Quinn. And then it was like, that's a mouthful. No one cared. I'll just say no one cared.
A mouthful of Harley Quinn. Now, I actually I didn't like the first Suicide Squad movie, but I love the Suicide Squad and I love Peacemaker. But again, it was like, DC's all over the damn place. I didn't like the theatrical cut of Justice League, but I like the Snyder cut.
That made more sense.
It actually made sense. I hate Ezra Miller's Flash. At least they gave him something to do in the Snyder cut, but I don't want to see a whole movie with this person. Mm-hmm. And I think this is a good way for them to, if they're going to reboot everything, just, wipe the slate clean and be like, yeah, hey, Ezra, thanks. But you know what? We're going in a totally different direction. Mm-hmm. And we don't need your weird ass running Flash in that new direction. Plus
I was waiting for you. I'm like, he's going to get that weird ass running thing in there. He was waiting for him to bring up the running. I'm just waiting for it. And there it was.
He runs
I knew you were going to do that.
That's never run a day in their life.
I'm sure the audience was waiting for you to say it too. Anyway, quick get back to the point.
Yeah, okay, so Bleeding Cool now admitting that yes, DC Comics is in trouble. Bleeding Cool, which spent years attacking YouTubers who suggested that DC Comics was in trouble, and here it is. So they're like, what does this mean? What does it mean? They're going to overhaul all of DC. What does it mean? New phase for the webtoons? No. Right now, Warner's has made or licensed DC TV shows for other companies rather than keeping it in-house. I think what's going to happen, then they're talking about selling off the CW too. I think they're going to try to follow Marvel. I think they're going to be like, this is the DC cinematic universe. We're going to start over again, maybe start from the Batman and work our way out. I don't know.
And they said, Zaslav sees the entire success of Warner Brothers Discovery as reliant on how the DC universe is managed. No shit.
Yeah, DC is like the most squandered brand right now. And if you told me 10 years ago that the comics would be in the state they're in, I mean, they've tried before to reboot them.
Well, they reread something.
Yeah, and looking at what's going on now with again, it's not like, hey, let's tell good stories. It's like, hey, who's gay this month, or who's
right.
Which character are we going to swap out this month?
Yeah, it's just getting old.
So somewhat related to this, Dan DiDio, who got ousted the last time there was a bloodbath at DC Comics, mm-hmm. He was a publisher there. He's going to be working apparently with Frank Miller, who's been kind of sort of blacklisted from comics because of some comic they said was anti-Muslim he did 10 or 12 years ago, which I think he apologized for, but it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Because he's old and white. Never mind. Never mind that Frank Miller is one of the most successful comic book creators of all time.
Never mind they probably like stuff that he created and worked on, but they're not going to want to conflate the two.
Right. So they're talking about this on Bleeding Cool. DiDio and Miller attended Fan Expo. Oh my God, Fan Expo that also brought in Gina Carano.
Not to that one, but it's bringing it to another one.
Right. The word at the bar is that DiDio will be running Frank Miller's new publishing business going forward. What that will be, what projects it will have, we have no idea. We have multiple confirmations from multiple sources. If nothing else, it will make meetings between Frank Miller and DC Comics rather interesting. So what's going to happen, and we're going to see this a lot, I think, as corporations take existing brands and ruin them, mm-hmm. the people that made those brands what they are today are going to leave and they're going to go do their own thing.
And where do you think the money's going to go?
Yeah.
Where do you think the readers are going to go?
Yeah, if they manage to, have Frank Miller starts up his publishing operations again. I think he had something with Dark Horse back in the day. I think it was Legend or Legends. But if he starts that up again and he goes and gets a lot of old timers, legends, veterans from comics to come back. I mean, if you had Chris Claremont and John Byrne do something similar to the X-Men, but not quite, it's going to sell. It's going to sell because people love their take on those characters, So I mean, this is interesting to watch. But lots of creators jumping ship, going to their own self-published stuff, whether it's crowdfunding. IDW now is doing self-published.
Well, that's because they probably lost most of the IP they had.
Yeah, so this is interesting because IDW, true story. I did some work for IDW a number of years ago. And we tried pitching some stuff to IDW, and we were told at the time they were not accepting pitches because they were not going to do anything creator-owned.
No, it was all IP stuff.
And now that they've lost almost all their licenses, now this is not a lifeboat I would want to take because that company is not in a very good place. But if you have a good contract in place and
take the money and run.
Take the money and run. They want to pay you, and you can get out if the company folds. Do it. I'd take it. But I think we're going to see a lot of people, especially working with DC Comics, going out and doing their own things now because there is no more safe space.
The good thing is, if you're a creator, it's an established creator. I mean, you have the control. You have the power. You can dictate what you want. Like, okay, fine, IW, you can carry my book, but I get to keep the rights to this, and this. Or, you can make those demands because they're desperate and you hold all the power. Yeah, especially if you're in, they've got Scott Snyder in here, G. Willow Wilson. So they have some Marvel DC people in here. If you are a proven seller, you've got more, bargaining power, I think, over there. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think that the future is definitely creator-owned because these corporations are going to micromanage. And I would not be surprised if they cut way back on the number of comics, too. Like, we do not need 50 to 75 freaking books a month. Just give us, 10 or 12 books that sell consistently, and we'll go from there. Right. We talked about it before, like how they've fallen, down to what, number 5 or something like that, when they were number 1 for a long time. So.
Oh yeah, and the book market. Yeah, DC Comics was number 1 for years. Now Scholastic and manga are eating their lunch. And again, Zaslav, very hands-on. He's going to go in and be like, how can you have Superman and Batman and fail so miserably?
Yep.
Good question.
We'll leave it at that.
We'll leave it at that. So we're going to wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.
Now he's just tasty, delicious, rotten flesh meat, which I can consume. Don't read into it too much.
Just like our museum, the cafe's open and Brewster is eager to serve. I don't think this was in the show. Run. Oh, you got splatted. Oh, she was begging and you kicked her in the face.
I don't care.
Hey guys, Squid King here, and today we're in a...
Not girl boss at all. She is not a material girl.
She is not. Oh, it's Christmas time here in your mom. Nobody wants to join your mom.
What?
Like I can't even cook kid cuisine right. I would last about 2 minutes with Gordon Ramsay.
What? Where is he?
He's hiding. He's hiding from you.
He better.
Oh my God, you got the axe.
Walker, does this look like Steven Universe? Let me punch him. Well, I'm just here for the wax. Right where you belong.
Get in the dirt.
Well, that was a combination of events I probably shouldn't have put together. Anyways, let's open this bottle too.
Chica Pinata. Is that official?
Oh, no.
There's a bootleg.
Hello. I'm sorry.
Hey guys, it's Diamond Tool.
Let's make a farm.
Like and subscribe and buy my merch.
I mean, while you're here, you guys should really like and subscribe and buy our merch, all of which we have.
That is true. You can't run them carrying trash. You can get away with 1 F-bomb per PG-13 movie.
I wish I'd known that sooner.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to wrap this effer up.
Yes.